Drug addiction is one of the worst things that can ever happen to anyone. And if this does happen, it is very important that we do not judge people, because there's always a story behind why people do the things that they do. There's always an explanation. And I think the most important thing is to try and understand the story behind why are people doing the things that they're doing instead of judging them. Let me introduce you to a lady called Amina Mbonde from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, East Africa. She had resorted to drug addiction for 22 years. She made a major comeback. She has been clean for 9 years. She even started her own NGO, a rehab center, in order to help others. Let's listen to her story. Welcome on board this interview, Amina, and thank you so much for wanting to share your authentic story with us and with the rest of the world. Now, if we take a flashback, some years ago, you resorted to drug addiction. What actually happened? Can you tell us why you resorted to drug addiction?
Actually, I used to be a lady vocalist. I used to sing with the Tanzanites, with the Super Africa band. And once in a while, I used to smoke marijuana just to boost me up while I'm on stage, to feel good and, do my work properly. But then it didn't affect me then. But then I started going out with friends. Then I got married. And then I started getting in bad company with my friends. They had their own habits as well. I was drinking too much, and then the drink was not enough. Then I resolved I got into drugs. I started taking drugs. It was back in late 80s. Yeah. And I smoked marijuana. I took heroin, cocaine for more than 22 years. That is how it started. And when I got into it, I couldn't stop it. I just had the urge all the time to take the drugs. When I was taking the drugs, I was feeling much better. My mind was clearer. That's how I thought first. But then it got out of hand. I started behaving differently from a human being, I started stealing, telling lies, cheating. I did all sorts of things which eventually I had to divorce my husband. I went and bought my divorce from the lawyers. I had to force him to let go of me because I needed to be free. I thought everybody who wanted my good being, I thought they were the bad ones. So I just continued with my downhill life. I was going down in the drain by continuing to take drugs. I thought they were making me feel good, but then it just happened that I started doing things which I never imagined that I could do in my life. I started to see people in a different way, the way I thought was good for me. Just to make myself feel good, I started creating my own nightmares. People were not happy with me. I was not happy with them. I was continuing in my downhill journey.
What did your family say? Because when you have situations like this, sometimes family says enough is enough. They back off and they just back off.
Yeah.
Did your family back off on you?
Yes, they did, except for my mother and my daughter. They are the only persons who continued giving me courage by saying that this is all God's wish. It will stop eventually. But even they got tired. I remember once my daughter said that, "Mom, if you continue like this, I'll go away from this country because this is hurting me too much. I don't care about the humiliation, but I can't take it when I see the way you are behaving, the way people are treating you. I just can't take it. I think that's what made me click my mind and thought maybe I should try the rehabilitation. Maybe I'll get better.
So your daughter made you sort of rethink that this is probably not the right path to follow.
Yeah, she told me.
But how did you feel when the rest of your family also rejected you?
I didn't care. Actually, I thought that it's better that I isolate myself from others. Because I felt bad about it. I thought they didn't like me, they didn't love me, they just wanted to get rid of me, you know. Because what I was doing, I thought was good for my life. It had nothing to do with them. But then I kept going back to them and harassed them and asking them for money, stealing from them. It didn't make me feel good, but I thought it was my right to do everything. If I gave them life, why can't they give me back life? I used to help them. They are supposed to help them. It's their duty to help them. That's what my mentality thought. But apparently, I couldn't figure it out. I mean, you know, all the time I was blaming others. I thought that people are nasty to me. I didn't know that I was playing my part in that as well. So eventually, I isolated myself from my family, my husband. I couldn't isolate myself from my daughter because she was the only one who was holding my hand. We cried together. We laughed together. I could see that she was hurt, but there was no way out for me. That's what I thought. But she kept encouraging me. She kept sharing with me whatever she had, whatever thoughts. She tried her best. Eventually, I asked if I could go to a rehabilitation center. And she said, please, if you can do that, it will be better for you and for me as well. Because I thought that when I started my job, that you were going to work with me side by my side. You were going to be my right-hand man.
So what motivated you to go to the rehab was, one of the things was because of your daughter,
yes,
right?
That's what I thought. Because I thought that I was doing it for my daughter. And that's why I went for 6 months. And when I came out, I went straight back to using drugs. Because after 3 months out of rehabilitation center, I suffered a lot for a short while. And that's when I thought, this should be for me. This should be for me, not for my daughter. It should be for me. This is for my own sake, for my own happiness, for my own life. I'm not doing it for my daughter. I was doing it for my daughter, that's why I went back. So I went back to the rehabilitation center and I stayed there for 3 months. I was working in the program and I got to know myself even better and accepted that I have a problem. I have a drug addiction problem. So even now, till today, I'm still working on it. I'm living according to what I learned in the rehabilitation center.
Yes. And what did you learn at the rehabilitation center? What did you learn? You say that you were rediscovering yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And is this because the rediscovering of yourself is because when you're doing drugs, the 22 years, you had completely lost yourself? You didn't know yourself?
Yes.
So you're rediscovering yourself now?
Yes.
And how is this journey of rediscovering yourself going?
Well, at the moment it's going slowly, but I'm learning every day. I'm learning how to be me. I'm learning how to deal with other people because I'd stopped for 22 years. I was living in my dream, my own dream. I was making up my dreams, but I was not working on them. I was just thinking about them and doing things which could make me get some drugs so that I can feel happy and good. And I thought that drugs were the ones who were making me happy. But unfortunately, they were making me crazy. I was insane.
You were saying that you were living in your own dreams.
Yes.
In the 22 years.
Yes.
What kind of dreams? Can you give me an example?
Yes. That I could own the whole world. I can walk on people. I could do whatever I wanted to do without worrying about what others will feel, without even, I was not even scared of doing things. I was I was daring to do, I was there to do so much things which were hurting others. I was making people fight. I was doing all sorts of things, stealing from, I was even stealing from myself. I was stealing my life from myself by making these stupid dreams. Yeah. But at the moment, my dreams have changed.
You managed to come out of it. Your dreams have changed.
Yes, I did. I started seeing the world in a different way. I started facing the reality as it is now. Living on life terms, not depending on anybody, although I'm still depending on my daughter sometimes. I mean, she needs to help me as well. It's not a must, but I'm going there slowly, slowly. I'm trying to live the age which had passed me, the 22 years. I'm trying to relive that life. Trying to go back, if only I didn't do this, where would I be now? But then I'm taking it very, very slowly because that has already passed. So I'm trying to substitute from those years to try and do a little bit at the moment. So I'm living at the moment.
When you came back from your drug addiction, when you actually got out of your drug addiction, your family, you told me the other day that your family actually forgave you for everything that you had done.
Most of them.
Do you feel that the forgiveness is real?
Yes, for some of them it's real. Because to be in my position now, by not using drugs, it's a huge success for me, and they're sharing it with me.
That's definitely a great comeback,
Yes.
Amina. It's a great comeback.
It's true.
How many years have you been clean?
9 years so far.
Yes, that's amazing. That's a real major comeback. And what about the rehabilitation center? Because you told me that when you got out of the drugs, you actually started your own rehab center. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I started a rehabilitation center. It was called Imani Recovering Center. And I worked with my people for 4 years. But it was too stressful for me because I've got some problems. I'm hypertensive. I've got high blood pressure. And the stress was too much because I was taking care of my auntie. She had leukemia. I was going back to the center because I used to live at the center. So it was a little bit hectic for me.
How were the programs there? Were they successful programs? Did you follow up any of the people who had gotten clean?
Yes, some of them were successful. I mean, most of them went back to using because they couldn't be monitored because we had issues with family therapy.
You mean the family?
The parents. Yeah, their parents. Once they see their children put on a little bit of weight and they're looking good and they're talking in a good way, they thought that they were already cured. So they were insisting on taking them out of the rehabilitation center after 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
And when they go out, they went straight to using. I kept telling them that they're not ready yet, but I couldn't convince them enough because they didn't want to come for the family therapy, how to live with these people, how to know the signs or that they want to go back to relapse. So they didn't have enough education for that. But half of my clients are doing well. Some of them are married, some of them are working.
Who was financing this NGO, the one you started?
We didn't have any sponsors, but the little money we get for their food, it was what was used for paying for the rent because we don't have houses. Can't afford to have our own houses. So we were paying rent and buying food for the clients. It wasn't enough because most of the time I had to go and ask around for help, food-wise, materials, because most of them couldn't afford to pay the fee for their food, and that was only for their food. So I had to go out of my way to ask for food from my friends, those who could afford to help me. That is how it went. Because this is it's like a calling from God. I've been there, so it's just that I need to help others to be like me as well, to get out of that situation.
I remember when we talked like 3 weeks ago, you mentioned something like you had friends whom you had known before the drug addiction, very dear and sincere friends. And then you came with some of these friends into the drug addiction. How many of these friends are still left?
Most of them are dead. Most of them are gone. May God rest their souls in eternal peace. I was very lucky. I was the luckiest of all. And I'm still here.
But Amina, how did it, because losing such dear and sincere friends you had known before the drug addiction, losing these friends is very, very devastating. How did this make you feel? Did you feel, wow, this is probably not the right way to go, not the right path to follow?
Yes, first, I was fearing. I was so scared because I was thinking that now it's my turn. My turn is coming. The next one will be me. So it made me devastated, really. Really. I was really, really devastated. But then only for a short while. Then I continued with my life, going downhill, my downhill journey. It scared me for a few seconds only. I cried, I was devastated. I talked to God, I want to stop this, but then I continued with my life, with my downhill journey. Really, because with this thing, I used to worship it. That was my God. Because I could do anything when I was using, yes. I could do anything. Whatever I wanted to do, I did it without even thinking twice. So I was not scared that much, but I was devastated because I lost my very close friends, very, very close friends, who I could confide in. I could be free with them. But it was only for a short while. And I continued my downhill journey.
Did they die of an overdose?
Yes, most of them overdosed because they couldn't eat. They're just using and using in order to live, and living in order to use. You're playing with death. You can see death is in front of you, and you're still playing, trying to duck out here and there, but knowing that where I'm going, I will end up dead. So I would advise people, because I came from a very high family, very famous people in my country. My mother used to be a policewoman. My uncle used to be Inspector General of Police of Tanzania. My dad used to be a counselor. I went to school in Russia. My dad was in Japan, India, Ethiopia. I mean, I was exposed to so much, but I didn't do what I was taught to do because I was not listening.
So, what advice would you give to others about drug addiction?
Today, I would advise everybody should listen to your parents, listen to your peers, listen to whoever who is older than you, even younger than you. The thing is to listen, not to hear, to listen. Then I'm sure we'll choose the right path. I didn't listen. I was only hearing my parents talking to me, telling me not to do this and that. I was doing all sorts of things behind their backs. I was just listening and hearing them telling me, Amina, don't do this. And I will say yes. The minute they turn their back on me, I will do exactly what they told me not to do. Because I didn't listen to the consequences of what will happen after after doing whatever I was told not to do. And this is how it started. I wanted to control my life. I thought that I could do it by myself, without any help from my parents, my friends, my family. And it got out of hand. I was doing it for myself, and I got off the wrong track. So I advise everybody, if you have any problems, talk to the person who you trust, talk to your parents, share something, share your tragedy, share your problems with somebody instead of keeping it and thinking that you can do it. That's how it started with me. I ended up in bad company and my life was destroyed. But I'm thanking God. I'm very grateful today. I've come back. It's me, Amina, myself and I. I'm not the Amina who used to walk around creating all sorts of terrible sins. Today, it's me. I'm back with my life. And I would like you to be back as well in your life, with your family, with your friends, living on life's terms, just like I'm doing now.
Thank you so much, Amina, for sharing your very deep, moving, authentic story.
Yeah.
I promise that I will continue to pray to the Lord.
Thank you.
That He continues to guide you and instruct you in the way that you should go. May God bless you, Amina. That was a very, very deep, moving, authentic story. It was a very powerful testimony. It shows us that no matter what problems you face in life, one should never give up because there is always hope. The main message of this video is to remind us all that we should not judge others, no matter what. Even if people have resorted to drug addiction or any other kind of addiction, the most important thing is to try and understand the story behind why people are doing what they're doing instead of judging them. We should also bear in mind that judging separates and that understanding makes us grow. Once again, thank you so much for watching.